Okay, so this was our scene 6 rehearsals. Scene 6 is with Bonnie and the estate agent, Jamie and Anna, and this is like their second interaction when they're a little bit more flirtatious towards each other. And then we've got Carol on the other side with the pram with Anna. We don't actually have the pram at the moment because this is just the rehearsal process. These were some of the directions that we were given in this lesson, and this was just some snippets of short videos of our rehearsal process. I didn't manage to get a lot of these in the other scenes that we worked on because we were mainly focusing on doing it in the class and I forgot to video, but this was basically how a lot of the rehearsal process worked. So it would be a lot of going through the scene and then practicing the lines. We had line run-throughs at other times, but this was a lot to do with going through the scenes, stopping, adding direction or changing something up that Chip would say, and then I personally would take that on to help develop my character, but also it was obviously to show the performance. So I'm going to go through some of these videos that I have on scene 6, talk about the direction given and how we developed from the first time we run through. So I think initially this is set out pretty similar, because this isn't the beginning of the scene, this is more towards the middle of the scene. Originally the character of Karen, who's the estate agent, is further up the stage, but we kept that in, but because it's in the middle of the scene it's a bit different. We've got Anna smoking, and then the cup of tea and coffee. Everything is sort of set out, already planned. I think that was the same, the initial idea that we were given. I think it's just slight subtle changes to how Jamie comes in and the timing and stuff. You can definitely tell that the characterisation is there as well. I think that Maya is doing a really good job of playing Karen, who's supposed to be this happy estate agent, but she's realistic. She's not exactly an interesting or really nice character, but someone who is relevant to Bonnie's development. The way Bonnie interacts with her is a bit different. But I feel that we've definitely worked on this character a lot more. We've developed it a lot more. I think that she has a lot more motivations behind her. Obviously she wants Bonnie to sell the house, but she's a bit more caring than a normal estate agent, I feel. This is going a bit smoother as well, the whole format of the scenes and how it's playing out. Obviously the middle scene's not started yet, but the way that it's working out seems to be going pretty well, but we do keep stop-starting. Okay, so those things were like these small interactions that both Bruce and Joel were told to do as Jamie towards Anna, sort of this awkward lingering at the back, building up the confidence to go talk to Anna, to go sit with her, to go give her, because he's holding some flowers, and I think it's this, we mainly focus, this bit is a lot about the physicalisation of it. You get to know Jamie's character a lot more, because it is obvious that they do like each other, but in this scene Anna does kick off as well a bit later on. She gets really angry, so this is just sort of the subtle opening, the innocent opening to this scene, that they both have this subtle attraction towards each other, but it's not as straightforward as it seems. So there was a lot more build in the physicalisation that the Jamies had to do, building up the confidence to go talk to Anna. At the same time, I think this is more probably boring, but over here with Bonnie and Karen, it's a lot about the effects of these scenes, and I think that's how the whole play seems to be working. And I think that knowing about the whole play changes our perspective on all the scenes, but this scene as well, because it's a lot of relevance towards the house, a lot of relevance towards future and hope, and regret, especially. So there's just some stop-starting to work on the lines more. So that pause is a bit long. There was a bit of a line mix-up there. I did like and think that Bruce definitely worked on his characterisation of Jamie a lot more. So when he came forward, he was showing this sort of awkwardness, this sort of interest, and her reaction, Anna's reaction, was really good as well as Hannity's reaction. But I think the pause was a little bit too long over here. It made it a little bit awkward, but that's obviously because of the line mix-up. But I think we're developing it well, definitely.
Sorry.
Hannity was told to stand up as a reaction, but I'm not sure that this really works. I think it's not well timed because it creates a distance. Obviously the proxemics affect character relationships. I think it creates a distance. I think it means that she's not interested and she doesn't want to get close to him, whereas I think that's not what's happening. I think she does want to get close to him. I think she just feels a bit like surprised at how here he is, the way he is and what he's doing. And obviously because she talks later on, she starts talking about how she's not just a bit of film, she's a whole human being, and she doesn't just want his sympathies. She wanted to like think about the film and making a difference, and he just wanted to like get with her basically. So I think she does like him, but she's got other priorities and other issues as well. So I think standing up straight away means that she doesn't want to be with him at all, whereas I think that's not true, and it gives the audience the false information, I think. Well, false interpretation, depending on how they interpret it. This is how I interpret it. So I think maybe she stand up later, but I think later on in this video Chip said stand up later anyway, and I think later on in the rehearsal process we've actually done it so that she stood up when she's got more angry, and that changes the mood of the scene. I think that works a lot better.
Sorry, Alex. Wait.
Yes, this was the bit of the line mix-up, so it was a lot of stop-starting during our rehearsal process, but I think this made it better because when we kept stop-starting, then it meant that we could iron out the problems and correct them. So this is just redoing that last little bit. So it's a lot of line waiting, and I think that Bruce needs to be a little bit quicker. Even though with the feelings and the thoughts that he's given are really good, I think it needs to be a bit quicker in his actually coming to say something, because it pauses the rest of the scenes. I think that's why this play you've got to be a bit more cautious as well of what's going on around you.
Right, is it really right? Yeah.
Yeah, slow it down.
Maybe that's not straight away.
Yeah, this is the bit.
Yeah, just say. Yeah.
Okay, so this is when we changed it up. She didn't stand up straight away. I think this works better.
Yeah. Yes.
Bonnie was supposed to react about when Karen says families lived here successfully, I suppose. Bonnie hasn't had a family who's lived there successfully. It's not her family. This wasn't a family house to her, really. She didn't really grow up here. And so when thinking about that, she was supposed to react in an awkward way for Karen to respond to. I think she did, but it's less noticeable because the audience is focusing on this, the middle scene. But I think it needs to be more of a dramatised reaction, more physical and less realistic, less like Stanislavski, that would be more internal. I think it needs to be a bit more physical, because the way that the format of the players in this scene especially, you don't really notice smaller gestures. I think that this interaction, Anna's looking very shocked or not really amused, and I think she'd be more amused by this, but I think there's a lot of concentration and focus on how the way that Bruce plays Jamie affects the way that Anna plays Hannah too plays Anna, and I feel like he's portraying it well. I think she needs to take that more and react to it more by being slightly more amused, but also stay with the more confused sort of look. But she's not like particularly normal herself because she bought him a tea and a coffee, so she is a bit awkward herself, so she should be related and she should find it a bit more amusing than she does, I feel. But I think we did discuss this later on. Obviously this isn't my scene over here, but because it's coinciding with my other scenes I have to relate to it, and I think that during our process we've developed more on other characters, and understanding other characters help us develop our own characters, because obviously Karen's not a major character in the scene or in the play, but to help develop her in the small role that she is, I have to look at all the other characters and how they developed, especially Bonnie. She is opening up a little bit more. She does talk a bit about her family in this, but it's not with emotion. She's very slightly autistic, especially in this scene. So it's just a little bit of a mess up.
Wait.
So that was another little bit of a line mess up. So this is Bonnie just talking about the house and everything, and it does have a bit more thoughts and feelings towards it. I think Chip was happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I simultaneously think so.
So she's doing this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so this is all the confusion of the simultaneous lines. There's a lot of those in this scene. Obviously, this is a more chill scene, especially compared to scene 5. Scene 5 is so long, and we've got a massive Anna monologue in that. But I feel that when looking at this scene, there was a lot of times where we would mess up because of the simultaneous lines. So we have been working on it a lot more. I think it's getting better than it did initially, definitely, and there's more feeling behind the way that we say the lines, especially. So just redoing this a little bit.
Second maybe not.
So this is like, because the simultaneous lines are so important to the play, to the script, to the feelings, the thoughts they provoke. Especially, I think Chip found them a way to sort of ground the piece and project something. It links all three together again and again and again, and I think it's important to get these powerful. And so we kept working on these, making sure they were just right. Even though this was difficult and hard to keep up, especially throughout the rehearsal process, I think this is what we're doing now. We're just making sure that they're well grounded in exactly the same time.
I was going to say it this slow at that time, so that maybe like. Say it how you want to say it. Like, no, let's start.
So obviously the way the intonation and where it's said affects the timing and the pace. So that's another thing we had to look at, and I think in this play, in a normal play you wouldn't usually have to focus on that, but especially in this play you do, in this scene especially when there are so many simultaneous lines being said. And then this was trying to run through without any stops once we've been given quite a bit of direction. Obviously this is the other cast, so I'm playing Maya again, but this was what it was like. These are the people who are on book, trying to help them out if they go wrong, or looking at the direction, trying to help each other, and this is what a lot of our scenes consisted of. So now we're waiting for Jamie's entrance. Oh, no. So there was a little bit of a confusion here. So because some of the scenes are similar, we're waiting for Jamie's entrance, but Jamie's entrance comes a little bit later on. But we carried on. It's hard to hear, but I think that the acting, the physical actual acting itself is really good here. We've definitely done a bit different, and you can definitely see the characterisation and the physicalisation is different from the first time that we did it. I just think that the lines need to be more solid, and the cues need to be learnt more, because that's the main thing that messes up the scene or the flow of the scene. Obviously, Carol will have something to do right now. She's just not got a pram or a baby, so she just looks a bit frozen, but I think that'll be alright in the end. Here I think the interaction is both good whilst these scenes are being said. The pauses are working well, and even as you can see from the beginning of when we started working on this scene in this particular day, this isn't just the only time that we've gone through and rehearsed this, but even from the beginning of this lesson particularly, the actual flow of the lines and the awkward pauses I think has improved. Yeah.